Hello, today is June 9th, 2018. Hope you're well. And today we're going to continue the subject of debt that we started last week, I think. Being in debt to another person, having to do with relationships, not having to do with material things and finances and stuff like that. We spoke about how people are in relationships with each other where one or both feel indebted to the other person. They feel like they owe the person something, the other person owes them something. Some kind of conditions exist in the relationship, which really, when you have relationships that are built on conditions and terms and ideas that you owe me or I owe you or any of those things, it really interferes with the freedom of the individuals in the relationship, with their personal freedom. And it just happens to be what a lot of relationships are built on. In this installment, we're going to talk about why that happens, how that happens, because we try not to demonize these situations we find ourselves in, because judgment is useless. It doesn't, when you're coming from a place of judgment, first of all, to try to work with the challenges that we face, it's not a good place to start, because it contaminates the whole thing. And in judgment, there's resentment. There's stuff in there that you don't want as part of the foundation of what you're trying to do, right? So we're not coming from a place of judgment when we talk about these issues that we all deal with on some level. We do. And then when we discover what it is we're dealing with and we investigate why it is that it exists, it's really good for us. Even though we live in a society that oftentimes, at least in this part of the world, and just sweep something under the rug and pretend that it's not there, pretend that you've made it go away, but you didn't make anything go away. It's still under the surface there. So it's so much better for us. We've had many recordings talking about that. So, but anyway, so why? How does this happen? So let's just think about the literal sense of being indebted to someone. When you're talking about material things or finances and money, stuff like that, what it means is that somewhere there is a lack that needs to be paid. Okay? And that's the issue right there, is that we're coming from a place of lack. When I'm in a relationship with you and I feel that in the relationship you're indebted to me, you owe me because of our history, because of things I've done, quote, for you, and stuff like that, or because you've hurt me in the past, or because you've made mistakes, because blah, 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 blah. So now I've set it up where it's not free anymore. The relationship is not free. So that's why. So that's the why. Or if I'm the person that I feel like, I've let you down so many times before, and I've broken my word on numerous occasions. I've said I'd do something and I didn't do it. I didn't follow through. You were counting on me and all of this. And so here we are today. And basically, I owe you. I feel like I am indebted to you because you've done for me and I've let you down and all this kind of stuff. Well, again, where's the freedom? There is no freedom. That's not free. It contaminates the relationship. It the joy and the peace that we could enjoy together is interrupted. It's messed with when I come in with these ideas, and especially if the other person is like, yeah, remember when you did that? Remember when you did this? And blah 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 blah, and just always opening up stuff. You see, it's a tangled mess. So those are the reasons why it can exist. Now, how can it exist? How does this happen? Again, we've spoken in numerous recordings before about cleaning up house within ourselves. If the individuals in the relationship are coming in and they don't have their shit together, they're, to some extent, nobody's perfect. And we're not even aiming for perfection. That's not the point. What does that even mean? But if we're in relationships with others and the relationship with ourselves is kind of broken and chaotic, that's what we know, and that's what we bring in. And we talked about that in the previous recording. So that's how we attract each other. When you have people who feel this way, who have not learned to develop the love and the compassion and the forgiveness and the acceptance within, they're not going to be able to offer that to anybody else on a real level. It might look like it. The packaging might look real pretty. Like, oh, this person, he's so good to me, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, he is so good to you to the extent that he can be, or to the extent that she can be. So the thing is, really just gotta get back to basics, which the basics are time alone, time for real deep thoughtfulness about where we are in our own journey, existence, life, whatever you want to call it, how we feel inside about who we are in the world, what the world is to us, what our world is, all that stuff. And that's work. We always want to quick fix things so that we can get on to the next thing, but you can't. It takes time. It takes time. And then we develop those things inside. We can bring that. Then we can offer that to other people, to others, in the relationships that we are in. But again, we don't want to demonize the idea that we're talking about here of debt, because the bottom line is that it comes from a feeling within of lack. Even if you're the person saying, you owe me, or if you're the person saying, oh, I really owe that person big time. Both scenarios is someone who feels lack within, and it's trying to bring this compensation in, and where there will be none, because the lack that you feel can't be compensated by, I can do cartwheels all day and night for you, and if you haven't brought it to yourself, it's not going to alleviate the discomfort that you have and this feeling of lack. That's a one-man job right there. It's a so but that's where we have compassion for this. When we see relationships, or if we're in a relationship like this, we hold on one second, sorry. Okay, just want to make sure it didn't turn off. We want to have compassion and not judgment against ourselves or against another person. I realize that at the core of the thing is a feeling of lack. And why is that so bad? So what? What's lack? What does that mean? It means that you feel like you're insufficient. There's something about you that doesn't measure up. There's something about you that is not what it's supposed to be. That you are not worthy. You don't deserve. That's what lack, that's all the implications in there. Not even implicate, that's what it is. So that's why we always bring it back to, okay, gotta work on the self. But anyway, so that's it. So we don't, fighting, trying to win arguments, trying to one up, trying to prove a point, all of those kind of things, they're like a pressure valve in the moment, but they don't do any real, they don't do any real solving of anything. Because that's why for many of us, we go, it's like, how many times have we gone through this? How often have you said that to someone, or they said that to you? How many times do I have to tell you? How many times do we have to go over this? Why? Why are you going round and around and around? Because nothing is getting solved. We have our explosions. We let it out a little bit, or come to something that looks like some sort of kind of resolution, but it isn't. And then it's just going to be a little while before it comes back up again, because nothing gets solved. So, and that's basically, we explained that enough. That's it. So hopefully this has been beneficial for someone out there. And as always, we want to wish you much love. Bye.